Good morning, people. Welcome back to Fresh Second Mick, recording remotely during the COVID quarantine of 2020. I don't really know what episode number this is because I don't know if this is a real episode, but we're here anyway. Hey, boys.
Yes, we are. Hey, man. How's it going? Sorry.
I'm pretty good. How y'all doing?
Well, good. Timing's going to be a little bit rough for the first little bit, I'm sure. But had a couple of rough days, but I think my head's right where it needs to be now.
That's good. I'm doing great. I have no idea what's going on with my job, so that's fantastic. Other than that, though, can't complain.
Why? What were you worried about with your job? If you had one?
Well, 3 days ago, we're going on 72 hours. I sent an email refusing to work because, well, my position has me going to lots of different areas, and I just don't really think it's an essential job, to be honest, but whatever. That's my opinion. But I don't really think it's safe either, so I refused the work. And I wrote a decently long email stating all my reasons, everything like that. Sent it to one of the person I apparently was supposed to send it to, and I just haven't heard back. So I just haven't gone to work, and I don't know if I have a leave of absence. I don't know what's happening, so that's really fun.
Oh, God, that's unnerving.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of sitting here checking my work phone.
Yep.
Nothing. So I don't know. I don't even care at this point, man. I don't mess around with this. And that's the other thing. I miss my kid. That's, she's with her mother during all this. We had many conversations and, just decided that's the best route to take during this crazy time. And quite frankly, I want to see my kid grow up rather than doing this job that doesn't even pay that well. So,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
And I don't know how many people who are still working on this, but like, has anybody said they've received a pay increase or something?
No, that's the other thing is like I'm apparently essential both rounds of the Doug Ford announcement, and yeah. I do a lot of walking and driving on my job, and I'm out all day. One thing is a bathroom. We got to use a bathroom, so they expect me to drive from my site to my house to pee. I pee like 5 times a day. That's losing like 2 hours of work a day. Like, it's stupid.
Like, you can't just go to like a...
They're closed, dude.
Like oh, fuck, you're right.
That's the problem. Usually I would just go to a Timmy's or a McDonald's or whatever and pee, grab a coffee maybe. It doesn't interrupt my day at all. But now it's like even somewhere close to my house, it's a 7-minute drive here. I got to, take 5 minutes to get up here, pee, and, do my thing. And then 7 minutes back times 4.
Yeah.
It's at least an hour, even on close. Some of my locations are, in the county. I'm doing Amherstburg. I'm doing Bell River. So imagine if I had to drive out there and I had to pee. I got to drive all the way back here. They didn't initially they give me a, gas allowance, which is fine. Sure. They didn't add any money on top of that. Full knowing like people are driving more way further out of their way just to use the bathroom now. And they didn't give any hazard pay. We weren't offered any type of hazard pay or anything like that, which is, I get it because my job's kind of apparently low risk, but the way I worded it in the email, the way I view the job, I don't think it's a low risk job at all compared compared to a grocery clerk. It's not as high risk as that, but
sure.
It's still definitely not a low risk job. I wouldn't. Anyway, so that's what I'm dealing with. Just headaches. I don't know if I, qualify for any of the support or anything like that. I just have no fucking idea what's going on. So
yeah,
awesome.
Dang. Well, I think you probably will qualify for something, man. The boundaries of who can apply are pretty wide.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm starting to read more about truck drivers, and even a lot of the shops in Windsor are offering voluntary layoff. So people that are coming in and they can't work because they can't mentally handle all the stress, and they're told to go home. So they're giving them voluntary layoff because the foreman of the shop are saying it's better if you're at home and taking care of yourself, and you're getting paid, and all the guys who want to, the people, sorry, not the guys, the people who want to come and work, they're not affected by your stress and all that, which is totally understandable because there are people who want to work still, and that's fine.
Well, that's a huge problem right now for those who are working. Morale. Like,
Yes.
holy fuck, does that ever have to be monitored so closely right now?
Oh yeah, I can only imagine, man.
God damn it. And like, I don't think pizza parties are gonna do it this time.
I don't think so, buddy.
Such a good point too. Like every time, there's some massive success or a workforce needs consolation or something, it's like, here's 5 pepperoni pizzas. You guys are good now, right?
Yeah, it's like we're square, right? We're square. You just made me triple what I normally make. Here's a little something for you. Yeah. I paid for it. Don't worry. I got you. Oh, wait, fuck me.
Sometimes they don't even pay for it. Sometimes they just have nice hookups with restaurant owners.
Yeah.
Owners. It's funny. But yeah, I can see how morale would be definitely an issue. And I mean, I don't know why my work's taking so long unless they're reassessing. I mean, fuck it. I'll just say I'm a meter reader. I read gas meters, and in no way, shape, or form do I think billing somebody during a world health crisis is considered essential. I literally take the amount of gas you used before, like one read to the next read, and that's how much you're billed, right? That's my job. It's all billing purposes. I'm going into, every pocket of the neighborhood. And people are outside. People are quarantined at their home or, self-isolation, whatever the case is. I don't know. I don't know these people. They're sitting on their porches. They're coming to talk to me. They're walking their dogs. Everyone's out in their yard, and I don't blame them because they have to stay home. So why would anybody who's self-quarantining want some stranger, just coming up to your property and risking potential exposure when you're supposed to, try to flatten the curve? I just don't understand any of it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem low risk at all, really. Not at all.
And I stated in my email, the amount of properties, dude, I visit anywhere between 300 to 700 properties a day.
Ooh.
And it's just the risk of someone turning a corner and saying, whoa, and literally just spraying my face with spit by accident is way too high. Like, I'm just not taking that chance because, well, this job doesn't pay well. They gave me no hazard pay, and it's just dumb. Like, it's just dumb. But that's my opinion.
Did you guys see the video of Trudeau telling people not to have conversations wetly?
No,
my God. What the fuck? Make sure when you meet. Funny. It's like, make sure when you go out, you spray your mouth with dry spray so you don't spit on your friends. What the?
No, you know what he's doing, because he's talking about masks and he's trying to, honestly, I'm not mad at his response to all this at all. I mean, it could be a little bit more severe, I feel, but really, I think we've taken it fairly seriously. But he's saying how masks are more for the people around you than for you, because it's more about what's going out than what's coming in. Mm-hmm. And he's like searching for the word, and he's like, so when you're conversing, it's not wetly.
Oh my God.
Christ.
There's the whole, it's quite sad to see our leaders kind of just do a 180 within, under 30 days about the whole mask thing. I watched a video, Dr. Tam, I think her name is, I think she's the Ontario Health Administrator. I don't know. She's one of the doctors that speaks, and there's videos of her saying you don't need to wear a mask, masks, blah, blah, blah. And now they're telling everyone to make masks at home. And obviously the reason for this is because, well, no one was ready, and they, didn't think that PPE was that important. So we had no masks to give our public. We still don't even have masks to give our hospitals. And, all the age, if you look at the charts too, the countries that used masks in general public, all over, even if you're outside. Doesn't matter if you're outside, even if you're outside, because there's trails, right? Like if a biker's got it and he exhales, and that's all being just spread behind maybe up to 20 feet to the next people walking. It floats on air and shit. So the countries that use masks, specifically Asian countries, they have a very it worked, I guess, on the charts. This is all just from chart and data that's accessible, right? Like I don't know the real numbers or anything like that, but
Sure.
It's quite dramatic, the difference between the Western world and the Eastern world, where masks are not shamed. They're not told they don't work. They're actually encouraged to wear the mask. I think even in Hong Kong and Japan, they wear a mask during just the seasonal flu, and they cut that down dramatically, like the number of cases, deaths, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, wow.
So it actually works. And now they're coming out and saying, oh, the CDC's recommended a mask. Here's the Surgeon General how to make a mask out of a T-shirt. It's like, dude, 20 days ago, you just said not to wear masks. Do not wear masks. Now you're putting in orders to wear masks. Some countries are fining people $1,000 if they don't have, a mask in public.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Holy
so
shit.
We're probably going to start seeing that soon, just because it's, dude, I don't know. I could talk forever about this. I don't want to go on a rant, so I'm going to end it there. Masks are probably a good thing right now.
Right.
And they can't provide it at workplaces. I brought that up to my boss, and he said to me, according to my current knowledge, a mask is not a required PPE right at this moment from the government. And I'm like, I'm not, I'm looking at science, dude. I'm not looking at what these people are telling us because we didn't have them, because we wanted to give all our manufacturing to, countries, and so it's cheaper. Now we're in this pandemic and we have no goods, no PPE, because we don't even make it here. And
I want to speak on that for a second, bro, because that's when, remember the other day when I said, like, holy shit, I'm actually agreeing with Rob Ford on a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you virtually rolled your eyes at me, but like he was saying that. Yeah, you.
No,
like,
I'm very impressed with Doug Ford on how he's handled this.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It was just, but it's true though, right? Because like I even a year ago, I could never imagine a world where I agreed with him on this many things. But like he's saying so much shit I like, and not just in taking the right measures of this, but this is what made me think of this, but in saying like Canada has a shit ton of natural resources, like per population, way more than anywhere else in the world. This should never, ever happen to us. And he's like, and we should never be this dependent again. And actually, it's something that Trudeau did not say. He was like, oh, we're just trying to maintain good relationships with the States. No, fuck that.
That's what I mean, man. And I've been saying it for years. I've been saying it. People, I get in conversations with people and they're like, for like years ago, I'm talking like 7 years ago or something, foreigners come in, they take our jobs and blah, blah. I'm like, no, bro, it's the big corporations, the old rich white dudes who outsource all the good manufacturing jobs to pay like 13 cents an hour. Like it's everywhere. That's who's taking your jobs, is the owners who want to not pay. They don't want to pay. They want to avoid tax, or they want to avoid minimum wage, or whatever the reason is. It's the outsourcing of manufacturing.
They're not being taken. They're being moved out from under you.
Yes, it's not the guy who's opening a convenience store. It's the rich people that own these companies that are just, they don't care about the common folk making a decent wage or a product, for that matter.
Well, and let's talk about the guy opening the convenience store for a second, because this poor motherfucker comes over here. Everybody hates him, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where he's from. Everybody hates him because he's a foreigner trying to take a job, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
And so he starts his own business, and he can't get into any specialized sectors, even though he's probably a fucking doctor, because they won't let him in because of the gatekeepers. And so he's like, all right, whatever. I'm going to sell smokes and candy. And he actually makes a living, and everybody denigrates him for that. It's like, who the fuck are you? You went into Chrysler's when you were 17 years old and you haven't left. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
exactly. It's ridiculous. And a lot of their life stories, like people, immigrants and refugees and stuff, their life stories will just, they're unbelievable, man. Like you talk to a guy like a Chrysler guy who started working at Chrysler at 17. That's his life story. Then you talk to like a refugee who went across the Mediterranean Sea on like a piece of rubber that he just floated. And it's crazy, dude. They've experienced so much life. And then they come here and people with a stick shoved so far up their ass are like, fucking fuck you. And I'm just like, it pisses me off. It's just, anyway.
This was probably about a year ago. I had a lady come in my store who was like a mental health worker for the high schools, and just a little tidbit into how badly it's underfunded. She does, I think, like all the high schools in Windsor. Just her. She's the only one.
What does she do again? Sorry.
So she goes to the high schools and sets up appointments with kids who just need to talk about their whatever mental health crisis that they're having. And she was saying that a lot of her students that she gets are refugees.
Mm-hmm.
And she was telling me the amount of bullying they are going through was just it was insane. And like, I immediately went into like fury mode. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? These kids have literally gone through, some of them anyways, or if not most of them, have gone through hell. Their homes have been destroyed by bombs. Their family has been taken away or killed in front of them by militants and et cetera and shit like that. And then these kids have the fucking audacity to go, my parents are racist and I'm going to treat you like shit because I don't know anything fucking about you. Are you fucking kidding me?
No, that's basically what it boils down to, man, is like you say, these kids who by the age of 8, they have a story longer than we'll ever have. And then some little shit doesn't like their accent, so they give them hell. Like, what the fuck?
Like, it's, and I'm like, and unfortunately she said that my high school has become one of the worst that she's seen. And I said, oh my, like, I've never been like you guys know me, I'm not a very patriotic guy whatsoever, but I'm just thinking, like, really, like, why I guess it struck a chord with me when she said it was my high school, but I made me wish I was somebody of notoriety or influence where I could just go there and just sit everybody down and go, smarten the fuck up, this is ridiculous, like, this is not fair, how dare you, and all this, but holy crap, like,
yeah, it's crazy.
In times of crisis, I guess, hate your neighbor for stupid reasons.
Yeah, that's there's just so many, not that wasn't already kind of opened up. Like, people knew that was happening already, but this health crisis is just open a whole big can of worms in pretty much every aspect of systems. Around global, like, political systems around the globe, and just like ways of life, like the toilet paper thing. Like, why toilet paper? Do you not know that water exists? Like, do you know what I mean?
I know.
Like, I don't get that.
Though
that's what I thought. VIP told me that long ago, and it wasn't even necessarily if you're out of toilet paper. It's just if you have a really bad poo, you know what you do? You jump into the shower afterwards. God damn it.
That's what you do,
right?
Buddy. That's what you do.
Fun fact, though, apparently, I think I was talking to my mom about this. Johnny Carson.
Okay.
He hosted the Tonight Show once upon a time. Apparently, he just said as a fucking joke, "Hey, toilet paper is gonna be, in short supply very soon." Like, I guess I think it was almost even out of context, but people went and bought it out just because Johnny Carson said it.
It's insane, man. People are there, and that's the problem. They just listen to high-profile figures and think that they know everything. And it's like, yo, they don't. It's like these celebrities that sung, like, Imagine, and everyone hated it because they're like, you are locked down in a ginormous mansion with a pool and a home gym and probably, like, 12 acres of land or...
Hold on. I don't know about this.
Dude, okay, there was a thing going on. I don't remember. I think it was Gal Gadot or something. I don't even know because I couldn't watch the video because I was like, this is the stupidest shit ever. And they started a viral thing where celebrities would sing Imagine by John Lennon. And then
Oh my
people
God.
really fucking hated it because they're, most of this is America, right? Most of America is poverty stricken, right?
Mm.
So they don't care about a celebrity who's quarantined and who they're complaining when they have, a house as big as a city block and a yard as big as 5 of them with basketball courts. And there is a lot of, pushback at that little action from the celebrities. But now it's like, Lady Gaga's putting, I think she raised $35 million toward coronavirus relief or some shit like that. And they're contrasting. It's like, look at these celebrities singing Imagine, and then look at Lady Gaga, who actually did something and raised a bunch of money to try to fucking do something about this.
Yeah.
What did she do? Did she like hold a concert type deal?
I don't know. I didn't read. I wasn't that. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't that interested in that.
That's fair.
There's a lot of news, that I'm reading that I'm more interested in, so I didn't go into depth. But I mean, still, 35 million. It's not today and age. It's not a huge amount of money, but it's still a fucking enough money to make a dent. So,
Absolutely. Well, did you see what's his face? Jack Dorsey, the guy from Twitter?
yeah, $1 billion.
$1 billion, and Jack Dorsey's not fucking Bill Gates. Like $1 billion is, I think the figure was 28% of his net wealth. Like,
Yes.
that's gangster.
That's because he knows what's up, dude. And then it's like Bill Gates is funding 6 teams around the globe to get these vaccines going. He's starting to manufacture facilities where they can mass produce these things. At least this is from what I read. Man, it's weird talking about this. I just want to interrupt myself. It's weird talking about these things because one day you'll read one thing, and then it could even be the next hour or the next 2 hours or the next day. You read something totally different.
Mhm.
So I don't want to say this is for sure. Everything that I'm saying is not for surely happening. These are just things I've read on the internet. But apparently Bill Gates is putting a ton of money. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation specifically is putting a ton of money toward finding a vaccine and then mass supplying it, or mass producing and supplying it to the world. And there's so many little thoughts that jump into my mind. I'm not going to say any of them on the recording because they could be touted as conspiracy. I used air quotes there, but as to why
you wouldn't want to be accused of being a conspiracy theorist.
Maybe not right now, but look, man, when you have a president in office like Donald Trump, and he is literally tooting the horn of some unproven, unstudied drug, anti-malaria drug, and people are taking it and ODing in other countries, and probably in America too. Like, we just don't have the numbers because he's saying these things. And there's other news reports saying that Trump's got a financial link to a manufacturer of hydroxychloroquine or whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it almost looks like Bill Gates is trying to just like beat anyone to the race so he can give it to everyone for free. That's what I think Bill Gates is doing. I think he's trying to avoid a monopoly on this vaccine because there has been rumors that Trump has reached out to a lab in Germany to pretty much pay them for the exclusive rights to a vaccine because they were the ones leading at the time. This was like a month ago. And it's just very shady what's going on with politics all around the globe really right now. So I'm like, go Bill Gates, bro. Go. Get these vaccines. Bill Gates is going to save the fucking world. Watch. Who would have thought that when he invented Microsoft?
Watch, he'll do it, and then Trump will deem him a traitor like Snowden.
Yeah, probably.
You took money away from me. You're a traitor.
Hold on. This is so I got to jump in. I was listening to this podcast the other day. Mark Bell. I don't know if y'all know who he is. He's a power lifter, right? So, I mean, he's like an old meathead motherfucker. I like these dudes because it's usually just they understand their field of exercise. They understand the basics of nutrition and calories and that sort of thing. And that's it. They're not rocket surgeons. So he has this doctor on his podcast the other day who is, I don't know, ex-military, and then he's got a double doctorate with theology or something like this. And this guy, and as soon as he said theology, I was like, okay, all right, I'm gonna take this with a great big pile of salt,
Mm-hmm.
And this guy starts going and gets into like 5G towers cause coronavirus, and then Bill Gates is using this as population control, not for the virus itself, but once everybody starts getting the vaccine, this is how he goes about killing everyone. And then everyone's going to say, oh, they had coronavirus, but actually it was a vaccine. And like, wild shit. And like, that's a hell of a thing to accuse somebody of.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely
crazy.
And he also, like, he was an obvious quack, right? Like, every time he brought something up, he'd be like, oh, and then I went to go look at the source and it had been removed from the internet. Okay, yeah, first of all, how fucking convenient. But also, what about the lab that ran the study? What about the doctors that were involved? I'm sure they kept some sort of records. Give them a shout. You know, it's obvious quackery. I don't know. It just I found the whole thing very scary that they put that out there, because I mean, like, Mark Bell's a guy with a platform, you know, and I'm not one of these people who thinks you shouldn't ever let someone have a voice if you don't agree with them or anything, but like, that's dangerous.
Yeah, dude. I think it was in Iran. I don't know. I can't remember, but when Trump started talking about this anti-malaria drug, a bunch of people died from poisoning from that drug in Iran, like over 1,000 people, because they believed him.
If I'm not mistaken, that drug needs to be administered very, very carefully.
It does, and it also needs to be administered apparently with the Zithromax or something like that. It's the antibacterial one, and then another drug with it, and apparently those three are combined provide like relief from the symptoms of COVID.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, I don't know, because there was only one trial done with papers, like, and research, and it was on 20 people, and it was in France. Like, I just don't know. I'm not going to go buy it. So, like,
no. But
sorry, why not a touch of thing? That drug is also, I'm pretty sure, used for people that have lupus. And now it's causing a shortage for the people who actually need it. So for every action, there's a reaction, right? And there's going to be consequences for people, like what Fresh just said, but just causing absolute mayhem for no reason, you know, without anything backing it.
Yeah.
Back on, I guess, more add to the conspiracy theory and how people are just kind of running with these, you know, crazy notions and theories. I don't know if you guys saw Sasha Cohen do his little bit about Facebook and fake news and shit like that.
No. A while ago? Was it a while ago?
It was it's been maybe at least a year.
Yes, I did see that. It was extremely good.
Yeah. One of the things he touched on was conspiracy theories and shit like that. But if I'm not mistaken, I don't think he touched too much on it. But when we look at the world today and the information we're given and the constant proven lies that we're getting from government and media, these conspiracy theories are not necessarily like allowed to run free, but people are just looking for anything that comes from a different source that's not from a source that's obviously been lying to them. So now we're having all these issues, like fucking people are lighting 5G towers on fire. Did you see this shit?
I did see that, yeah.
Because they think, oh, 5G gives you the coronavirus. Let's set it ablaze. Are you fucking kidding me? But it almost makes sense that these people are believing this because they don't trust anybody anymore. We don't trust our government whatsoever. And again, I don't know if this is like, I know very much so it's not our generation. It's not new for us. It's been going on for a long time, but it's just so bad now because it's all out there. It's like, you guys need to really have a big, some sort of apology or just redo the whole system because you're all fucked. Nobody trusts you. Nobody believes your shit. And like, it's coming to a tipping point, I think, where it's just like, either fix it, full transparency, or, you know, maybe torches and pitchforks. I don't fucking know. But like, it's scary that people just jump on these half hashed out theories and go, yep, that's true, because it's from a news source that I never heard of. And it's not one that I know has lied to me in the past.
Well, I think that's when we were talking, it might not even have been on a cast, but Slick brought it up a couple weeks ago. talking about a total lack of critical thinking foundations. And I don't even think it's something that necessarily can be taught, because just like with everything else we are taught in school, it can all just fall out the other ear, right?
Sure.
But there's definitely no stress on that aspect of epistemology. Like, how do you come by this knowledge?
Yeah.
By what merits do you evaluate knowledge? And what leads you to ultimately decide a claim is worth believing? And what we're seeing is that that's essentially, I saw it on Facebook.
Yeah. Oh God,
yeah.
I saw it on Facebook. That's one thing I do miss about work. Yeah, I saw this thing on Facebook. Do you have it? It's like, God damn it. And I
You're
loved
like,
it too because
that's terrible. Yes, we do.
Yeah. No, I loved it when people started realizing that vitamin K2 was really good for like your bone structure and shit like that. People were coming in and calling it by its medical name, like MK7. And so they're coming like, yeah, do you have any MK7? I'm like, yeah, you read that on fucking Facebook. I know you did, because nobody calls it that.
That's hilarious.
I'm like, oh yeah, K2. No, MK7. Yeah, it's K2. That's the scientific name for it. Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw it on the internet. Yeah, I figured you did, you fucking knob.
And that's and there's a double-edged sword here with that. Is like, people want the freedom of the internet, and then people want to control the internet, right? And it's like, where do you land? Because with some control either comes really, 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 really good orchestration of mass lies, or it actually stops fake news. And if you kind of let it run free, then all these conspiracy theories and shit, they just go into the hands of whoever, right? And some people can't take that. Some people don't know how to handle these kinds of stresses and will act on it, just like people burning 5G towers right now.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. But I want to touch on a point, like what Fresh said with the critical thinking. It's it's almost like no one can really see it. Like, I read today that there's a movement of Republican voters who are super against Trump, but they won't back Bernie Sanders, so they're just voting for Joe Biden. Joe Biden can't even put a sentence together. So,
Jesus.
But like, you're not even looking at the platform now. You're not looking at how these people talk, their body movements, none of their body language, none of that shit. You're literally just voting someone in who's not Donald Trump. And that's kind of okay, but you can't you can't just vote someone because the news tells you they have more steam than the other person, because it's you got to do critical thinking. And if everyone kind of like, or logical thinking for that matter, like if people just sat down and thought about the platforms that Sanders has brought to light, and then Biden and all the things Biden has done. And I mean, dude, like, honestly, just listen to a Biden debate. He can't even put an idea together.
No, he's falling apart.
He has, and this is what I don't understand. And I don't want to talk about American politics too much in this, but like, how is there not a mental or psych evaluation for the president, right? Like, you can get, in Canada at least, you can get a parent to say, like, you're separated, you can get them mentally examined to make sure that they are okay to care for a child. You can request a court order for that. But a guy who's in charge of 340 million fucking people and trillions of dollars, you can't have a psych evaluation? That makes no fucking sense. So pretty much.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, pretty much it's just it's a joke in my mind. I mean, it was already a joke because you have a TV reality star as your president for the last 4 years and who's botching a world pandemic. But it's just all kind of a joke now. It's all reality TV in my eyes. I mean, there's no real true politics anymore. It's all business and entertainment.
100%.
Well, and the media is a bigger player than they've been historically. Every election. Like, every election, they're a little bit more significant. And when I say the media, I mean every aspect of it, including Facebook, because people seem to be worse and worse informed. And I say that as someone who works with a bunch of old dudes. And it's like, is this what you really thought about platforms when you were voting in the 80s? because you just said something that's completely untrue, and I know where you got it from. You might not cop to it, but I know where you got it from, right? And so what we've seen, like in the States, like you say, Slick, is that lots and lots and lots of people have wanted Bernie Sanders, and they have for several election cycles, but they just, like the news specifically, just keeps not including them. And well, why is that? Well, it's because the news are owned by these large conglomerates. And so there's all this, behind the scenes hand holding. And obviously Bernie would be bad for that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's in plain sight, and you've now kind of, I don't want to use the word brainwashed, but through the years, you've dumbed your population down so well that they don't know how to question it through the education system. And solely being that you're not taught, I don't really know anything about the American education system in grade school and high school, but I assume it's probably not that great considering. It's America, and they don't really give a fuck about their education for some reason. I don't know why, but you're not taught taxes. You're not taught politics. You're not taught your rights. You're not taught any of this shit, and it's specifically, in my eyes, to kind of hold everyone down because you don't understand it. Like even myself, who I think, I have decent logical thinking or critical thinking, and I can formulate a sentence in a paragraph and make it sound decent. Like I honestly, I don't really know my rights as a worker, and that's on me as an almost 30-year-old man now, but because I could very well research it. But just coming up and being, looking back on my life and going from job to job or whatever I was working, I really didn't know my workers' rights. I really didn't know, my rights as a citizen or what to do or anything. Like I felt like I was in the dark for a long time. I know much more now, but still there's a lot of gray area. And I mean, kind of like what I'm going through right now with my job. Like I don't really, I'm going to touch base after the 72-hour mark here, and that'll be at 2:30. Because I think it's absolutely fucking ridiculous that you're not giving your employees some clarity. But I'm still in the gray area with what applies to me, what I know it's a weird time right now, but regardless, if I was going through a mental breakdown of some sorts and I needed time off, I would still be in the gray area. And we're not taught these critical things that literally run our fucking society. And we're expected to know, and you're expected to participate. And that's why do you think the demographic of voters, young voters, is so low? Because they don't get it. No one understands it. There's no one representing them. It's all an old person's game, and it's to keep that money in that pocket and those beliefs in that pocket. And that's more so American. Canada's way different, but even here there's hints of it, especially in Ontario.
Absolutely. Yep, for sure. And you know what really chaps my ass talking about expectations, just thinking about this whole crisis right now, is the expectations as things filter down, like every tier of society lower that you go, there's going to be less regard for things. So we've already seen, I don't know if they've actually pulled the trigger on oil company bailouts in Canada yet. I don't think they have, but it's going to happen if it didn't already. And why? You're talking about, statistically speaking, the highest earners in some cases ever, excluding fucking Microsoft and Amazon. And they need bailouts?
Yeah.
Maybe the money's not going to the right place.
Also, it's a technology that's going to be obsolete in 20 years. So why are you bailing that out? They have it's a finite resource. Oil, you know what I mean? We need to move on to the next thing. It's over with. I don't know why people are still fighting for. I mean, I know why, it's money, but it's get the fuck over it and invest your money in renewables, because that's the way the world is. If the world lives for another 20 years, that's the way it's gonna head. It has to happen regardless. It can't withstand constant fracking and draining and drilling, and it's just not a sustainable thing at all.
That's a big if.
What if we live past 20 years? Yeah. And also I want to touch again on the American end. I don't really know what they're doing. I think, what was the airline? I think it might have been Air Canada. That's okay. They had money. One of the airlines in Canada had money set aside for something, not a pandemic, but for an emergency, and they don't need a bailout. But Boeing and all these massive airline companies in the States they asked for a $55 billion bailout when they spent the last 5 years buying back stock shares. They spent 96% of their profits on buybacks. And it's like they're literally playing the stock game while they're making money off of, low-income people, middle-class people who travel. It's absolutely disgusting that taxpayer dollars are going to go to these people, and they gave CEOs, millions of dollars in bonuses last year. Well, I read that Wells Fargo, I think was it Wells Fargo or was it Goldman Sachs? One of those fucking crazy, huge ones. Their CEO got a raise during this pandemic.
Oh, it's the same thing that happened with the last recession, bro, in 08, 09. As things were falling apart, CEOs were taking home not just bonuses, but record bonuses. And that's what I mean about expectations, dude. So corporations are protected, especially in the States, but also legally in Canada, as people. So their losses are mitigated as if we were concerned for humans, but then actual humans do not get the same concern. And it's really, really sickening because they're not, so when they take home those profits, those go to, as we know, mostly the people at the top, which is a handful of people. And then you get, whatever, say it's 2 guys at the top and 1,000 people below them. Those 1,000 people below them are expected to just suck it up and move along. And the worst part about it is because there's not really any option.
Well, and we have no say.
Well, we have no say, and we have been. It's how we. Well, fuck. What's the word? Conditioned. It's how we've been conditioned. So. Earlier, like you touched on the lack of education and whether or not that was on purpose or not. As far as I'm concerned, it totally was. A stupid population will not question its government. And then secondly, again, on the you're supposed to just fucking deal with it and move along. It's the frog in the boiling pot. You know what I mean? We've been sitting on it for so long. There have been so many times we're like, enough's enough. We're like, but is it? And now we just don't fucking care.
Yeah, I mean. I'm reading. This is the last thing I'm going to say about America. I'm moving to Canada. Fuck this. America is just very important because everything goes through their dollar, like oil. They're a superpower, right? And we live right there. Like it does have an impact on our lives, if we like it or not, right? But I'm reading a lot of economists and watching a lot of interviews and saying and things, and they're saying that, this is going to make 2008 look like nothing. Like this is going to be. Some people are saying it's going to be worse than the Great Depression. Economically, they're calling it the Great Depression 2.0. A lot of economists are saying don't believe the media or the White House or anything when they say the stocks are rising because it's a temporary thing, because we're in this limbo. We don't really know what's going to happen, what it's going to be like after economically or anything. So if something rises, it probably won't last because the repercussions of COVID and stuff are going to be massive on, just job loss, income loss, loss of goods purchased, loss of trade. Like it's going to just ripple effect throughout the world because it's hitting the entire world at once pretty much. So I don't really know. It's really weird. I'm not gonna lie. It's a really weird time to be alive and think about it in an economic capitalistic sense. And I wanted to touch too with these people who are super anti-socialism and all this. Like I get it. There's gray areas and people don't really know the true definitions or true governments that, or what social security is. They just literally don't know anything, so they're super anti-socialism because they tie it to communism. But guess what? North America thrives on a capitalistic socialist movement. That what we're doing right now, if we bail out oil companies or big airline companies and you just hand them money, that's socialism, but on a rich scale. You know what I mean? That's all exactly. It is. Yeah. It's like we're giving a bunch of billionaires billions more dollars so they can keep their personal billions and keep their $1 billion businesses running because it provides a job that pays $11 an hour, Like,
And meanwhile, poor Jack Dorsey is giving 30% of his net wealth that he got off a platform that nobody even really likes anymore.
yeah, and you know what? I applaud that, man. That's a great move, and we'll probably see more things from that guy. I mean, I've read some great articles on him. I don't read a lot on Jack Dorsey, but I have read a couple things, and he seems like a decently generous guy for the amount of money he has.
Yeah, he did the podcast circuits a year or two ago, and he ate a lot of shit because he gave a lot of really vague and cryptic answers because of what was going on with Twitter and certain people being deplatformed and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And some people were trying to take him to task for deplatforming certain individuals, and some people were trying to take him to task for not deplatforming other individuals. And like, I think that is one of those places where you make an argument for the internet having some sort of regulation. And I don't actually support that, but I think that's so far beyond Jack Dorsey's personal scope, and everyone was going up his ass about this. It's not fair. It isn't. That's like it was like taking Zuckerberg to the feds for Facebook. And now, I mean, what he actually went for was right, and he should have been questioned about that. But it was as if they brought him there and then said, so everybody's got a racist uncle. What you going to do about that? Like nothing. You're not going to do anything about anybody's racist uncle because there's always going to be a racist uncle.
Bro, you know what solves all of these issues?
Killing everyone's uncle.
We got to end the podcast. You nailed it. I got nothing more to say. No, education. I don't, for the life of me, understand, and Canada is included in this. We're going to kind of try to shift toward Canada now. Yeah. But if you talk so much shit about how great your economy is, and you talk so much shit about how great your country is, and you have the best minds and the best technology and shit, then make your fucking schools free. I don't fucking understand that. I don't get, because from education comes advancement, right? So if you do want to be, the top of the top places to live in the world, education has to be a necessity, and it has to be provided, or at least given the chance given to go to school for everybody. Like, it can't just be people who, you know what I'd be doing right now, dude? I'd be doing online school if I could afford it. I have a program from the University of Guelph I want to take. It's $545 a course. I don't have all that money to complete my degree. It's 8 hours a week. I could kill that in one day. You know what I mean? Right now, I could be getting a degree in a field that I really want to do, but I can't because I have no money coming in. My bosses won't tell me what's going on. I got not enough money in my bank to complete the thing. And it's very frustrating because I'm a person who wants to better myself, better the people around me, better my community, and I can't even do that because I need a degree to get a job that's going to pay, $17 an hour. And I got to pay thousands of dollars to go get a piece of paper when I really could probably learn all of this on YouTube.
Holy fuck.
It's almost the dumbest thing, and that's how I feel. And it's almost like school is this entrapment to teach you how to think a certain way. That's why in the northern hemisphere here, or at least in Windsor where we're from, we do not teach philosophy until post-secondary, or different ways of thinking and critical thinking. How to develop a critical thinking brain. People don't care anymore. They're literally. Everything I've seen is like, I'm so bored. I want this to end. I watched all Netflix. I'm like, read a fucking book. Yeah. Like,
dude, okay, I wanna touch on that because that is driving me fucking insane. And part of it's my own fault because I should just stop looking at all of these things. But you try and check in on people, and this is what I'm hearing. It's just people whining. Now, this is a phenomenon I'm not really familiar with because, like, I got a home gym. I got a stack of books that I haven't read and a bunch more I'd like to reread. I got some dogs. I got my girlfriend here with me, and I got a fridge full of food. Like, life is good. I'm a little bit worried about the financials, but I got nothing to complain about. Not one thing in the world. And then I think about, okay, all right, so not everyone has all those things, right? That's fair enough. So what if some of that got taken away? Well, I could just get a library card and I could read shit and watch movies from Windsor Public Library. You're allowed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what if I didn't even have internet access or a home gym? Oh, I could go for a run because the fucking pavement is still there. You know, what if
For
I
now.
oh, yeah, well, yeah, till the infrastructure completely falls apart.
Yeah.
You know, and what if I didn't even have that? What if I was just left alone with my thoughts? Well, then I'd be alone with my thoughts. And, you know, I understand that that's not necessarily a happy place for everyone, present company included. I'm not trying to attack you guys, but there's so much you can do, before you start complaining. And most people haven't done any of it. They don't actually have hobbies. Netflix isn't a hobby.
No, it's not. Oh, can I say something? Okay.
Please.
So on my program, when I went to the trip thing I did, we had to spend one full 24-hour cycle alone in the forest with no one around you, no phone. Obviously, I didn't even have my phone during the whole thing, but no camera. I wasn't allowed to bring my camera. I wasn't, no books, nothing. You had a journal, a pen, and your tent. Or it wasn't even a tent. It was just a bug bivvy and like a tarp. And I literally drew on rocks with other rocks for probably 18 hours. And then I also pretended that I was an eagle and I ran up and down like a clearing with my arms out for probably an hour in total because I was bored. But I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to run back and forth, man. Like, I got nothing else to do. But it was okay. I was okay. I wasn't like, I was more pissed that they put me in an area that had a bunch of widowmakers hanging right above me. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm going to die. One of these trees are going to fall on me because it was like a dead forest. It was scary. That's the only reason I was pissed. But other than like being alone or anything, man, drawing on rocks is fun. It gets messy and powdery, but it's fun.
No, and that's the thing, man, is like most people, I shouldn't say most people, the people that I'm seeing complaining haven't tried anything. There's so much. What do we spend all this time working and accumulating possessions for if you're never going to fucking enjoy them? That's
Well
my
done.
thing. Is I got more shit than I can do for the rest of my life already at 32. I don't need another thing in my life, you know?
Yeah.
And then there's people complaining and many of them are, you know, well off, or they're staying at home with their parents and they're whining about that. Like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Go to another room. I don't. They're non-problems.
They're not problems. You have running water, you have heat, you have electricity, you have internet, you have a couch with a cushion on it. You have a roof over your head, you probably have food. You probably don't even have to pay bills because, like, I mean, most people still live with their parents who are complaining, from what I can tell. That's a shot directly at me. But like, yeah, man, I don't get it. And it leads me. We have to ask ourselves why, right? Like, why are these certain people? Not everyone. Why are these people like mega bored? Are they super extroverts? Maybe we don't understand that because we're not mega extroverts like some people. That's valid. Humans are social creatures. I mean, we talk all the time and play StarCraft. That's our way of hanging out right now. We would do that probably if there was no lockdown.
Hold on a sec. I want to throw this out there for the people. Blizzard has many of their classic games online for free. So if you need something to do, hit us up on fucking StarCraft. We'll be there.
Yeah, we will. We'll be there all day, all night. I got StarCraft 2, I got Warcraft 3. You know, life's good right now. I'm not even a gamer, but I do like those games, RTSs. Anyway, my point is, for like, why are these people bored, right? Why? Maybe it's because our society is so ingrained, and it's very evident right now, on going out and living almost a fake life. I'm going to say this because I fucking did it. You know, I was out being someone I wasn't, and I'm just out doing the things that I seen were being done in society and perceived as, air quotes, fun or, beneficial to building relationships. I'm talking about partying, drinking, just doing useless, time wasting, money wasting, brain cell killing things. And a lot of the youth is trained to kind of be involved in that from, the higher ups, from celebrities who they follow. It's all very superficial. And now that's literally been taken away from them. And they're lost because your entire identity, or whatever you consider your identity to be with the outside world, has been stripped of you, and now you're at home with yourself, and you probably don't even know who you are. So I'm probably
deep shit there.
I'm just thinking people want to avoid realizing that, or maybe they're on the cusp of realizing that, or maybe they're so far gone they don't even, can't even comprehend that. They're always constantly looking for something to numb their mind instead of stimulate it, right? So I don't really know why people are being like that, but it's like, you know what I think about, dude? I don't think about me being bored. I think about what happens to the poor countries when this thing hits it. And if the rich countries are struggling and they don't have enough gear and they can't get their fucking shit together in time to go help these countries that need the help, that don't have any health care or very limited health care, what's going to happen? That scares me. That's why I'm in my head. I'm thinking about all those things, the repercussions from that. I mean, you're seeing what's happening in the States right now. Just imagine, third world countries or countries where one doctor sees 10,000 patients. Like, it's going to be.
Dude, I got a little girl's picture on my fridge that I look at every time I walk into my kitchen that I sponsor for fucking $40 a month so I can feel great about myself. No, I do it because it's the right thing to do. But like, the whole thrust of that and like why I got involved at all was because I wanted them to have running water, and they don't even all have that already.
It's crazy.
I don't ever want to hear anyone in North America complain. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's ridiculous. And first of all, North America. Did you know there's 23 countries in North America?
23?
23. Well, and territories, countries and territories. So like Greenland's in North America, and they're a territory of Denmark, and Costa Rica is in North America, and all like that little from Mexico, south of Mexico, that like little snake where all those tropical, like probably extremely beautiful countries are, Nicaragua, Costa Rica.
I was always sketchy on whether what is generally called Central America is included. I don't know. It is North America. Okay.
It's North America.
I'm on that same boat.
Like all the Caribbeans in North America. I didn't know that. I went on a huge geographical nerd fest binge thing last night on YouTube, and I was just like mind blown. Anyway, people in North America think they are better than everyone, pretty much. That's we have a society that thrives on useless people making millions of dollars and dictating to us how our society should be ran. People are like, oh, I miss sports. I'm like, fuck off, man. Like, there are so many sports you can watch. You can go and watch all the fucking classic games from like 1960 probably till they cut, the league this year. Like, go watch those. Who cares? It's sports. Like, some kids are just kicking a can in another country, and then you probably know what soccer is, like, just to entertain themselves. Like, they're
stoked about it.
Yeah, we're so privileged, and it's disgusting when, how are we going to cope with this? It's like, come on.
Well, so you just said it right there, Slick, and that is something else that's been like kind of chapping my ass. Is I'm seeing a lot of people put up posts like, you don't need to come out of this with new life skills. If you're just surviving, it's okay. But you better be just surviving. You have everything.
Yes, right? And people are like, oh, the mental health of being home. I'm like, dude, like, it's you're at home. Like, this is the time that you should be tackling those issues. This is you're given the time. There are silver linings behind this, especially being in Canada. We are doing a really, I think, from what I have seen and read, Canada and Germany are doing an extremely good job with handling this in the healthcare system. I mean, no doubt that there are going to be hospitals overrun. No doubt that it's going to hit, and it's going to hit hard for us. But like the amount of cases and the amount of new deaths and total deaths in both of those countries are very good. And I think it is because the citizens listen. We are a little bit, I think we have a little bit more critical thinking.
Well, I think we have a little bit more trust in
Yes, that's true.
our political process as well.
That was going to be my third point. We have more trust because no, that's okay. It just has not been. We're not as big of a country population wise, and we haven't been as greedy of a country, money or economically, as maybe the U.S. And people tend to trust their governments more when they favor their citizens over the economy, which isn't always the case. The Texas governor said that grandparents would be honored to die for their economy or some shit like that, and it was fucking outrageous. I don't know if you've seen that. It was like 2 weeks ago. This guy said, I'll die. I'd be happy to succumb to this if that means our economy stays well.
Oh yeah, I saw that fucking Fox News bullshit.
Oh man, dude, anyway. Canada, we're doing okay. And if everyone just kind of listens and honestly, like, trust yourself. I trusted my gut, and I tell this to all my friends. It's like these things, the United States of America never locks down, and they're locked down. Like the Mecca is locked down. St. Peter's Square is locked down. These worldwide mega important spots and countries are locked down. So something dramatically is happening. So follow your gut. Don't follow your friend, or don't listen to, if you don't work for a scientist or a doctor, don't really listen to your boss on anything they're telling you health wise, because they don't know. They know just as much, probably less than you. You know what I mean? Like it's listen to yourself and just stay safe. And if we continue to do that and keep the distancing up, like, man, we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, and I think oh, sorry, go ahead, Mickey.
No, I was actually going to ask if staying on mental health just slightly change the topic of conversation, but staying with mental health. I was listening to a CBC because I'm an old man, and they were talking about the mental health of the workers and how fucked they are going to be after this. So the gentleman that was on, actually, I'm sorry, but do you want to finish your point, Fresh, or if you want to delve into that at all? Fresh? Uh-oh.
Did we lose him?
I don't know. We may have lost him. Fresh.
Oh, well. You go. Keep going, Mickey.
Fair enough. So what it was is this guy comes on, and he is a military medic. And he's talking about his experiences, where he's been. I think he said he was in Haiti when they had the earthquake. And if I'm not mistaken, he was saying that when he got there, his first stop was a bus that got hit by a boulder and 60 people inside were dead or dying.
Wow.
So he said, though, he goes, so with his training, he is trained to not think about it when he's there. He's like, I'm here to do my job, and that's it. He goes, but when it's all done, he goes into civilian mode, and then he has to process everything. But the fact remains is that he has been trained meticulously to be able to handle that level of stress. He said the training that doctors go through, that doesn't exist. That kind of stress isn't a thing. So he goes on and he talks about how these doctors are taught, like, oh, this is how you do an x-ray. This is how you poke somebody with a needle. Like it's just like it's the day to day, but it's never like, hey, here's what happens this is how you cope with stress when some deranged lunatic on meth tries to stab you with their teeth. You know what I mean? Like
what? Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I get it.
So he's saying that obviously after this is done, there's going to be all the stuff that you've mentioned that we're going to have to deal with afterwards. But the mental state of the healthcare workers, the doctors, the nurses, even the janitorial staff, everybody who's involved with this process is going to have to be dealt with very, very carefully, because we've already seen one, like I think two so far that at the time of this broadcast, and when I listened to the radio station, he was saying 2 nurses have since committed suicide. One, she became infected, and it's either she was afraid of infecting more or was ashamed of how many people she may have and took her own life, and then the other one just couldn't handle the stress and took her own life. Holy fucking shit! And again, this is the pandemic.
Yes,
They are not trained for that level of stress, and they are not going to be able to cope with it after the fact if they're not. And as we're seeing, they are not coping with it now.
Yeah, and that touches. Wait, before I go on, Fresh, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, all right.
Mickey was going. I was letting the boy go.
No. That's okay. Touching on what Mickey has said about the mental health and after the fact is where is this going to bring us after? Where are we going to be? Because let's be real here. We had, I think Canada did a better job than its neighbor at preparing for this thing, but still, we don't have the PPE, we don't have the equipment ready, and we're supposed to have a good healthcare system. And in my eyes, it's not as good as the rest of the world sees it to be. So where does this leave us after? If we still want to be that country that everyone wants to come to, the best place in the world to live, blah, 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 where does it leave us? With these things, like, do you guys feel that healthcare should be a human right?
I think that, okay, so I have this kind of fucked up view of these things in that I think that all of this stuff is constructed. I don't think that these values are necessarily inherent. Even things like free speech and clean water, whatever, take your pick. Because I don't think that's how nature works. But if we take our higher-minded society as an extension of where our own nature has brought us, as you would suggest, Slick, then I think you have to consider what values contributed to that. And those things were never, I'm going to get mine. They were always people doing things that, while they may have been self-interested, could also elevate those around them. And so do you want the question isn't whether healthcare is necessarily a human right, because I don't honestly think there is such thing as an inherent human right. But if you want to have a healthy society, should we have universal healthcare? Which I think it is roundly yes, obviously.
So you're talking about in the sense of you being born, you don't inherently have a right to anything, correct?
Yeah. Okay. You don't have a right to your next breath.
Yeah.
I mean,
you have to take it.
Okay. All right.
See, the thing is, like, I agree with that. Like, I remember, and I know we've talked about it, and we've all, I think, collectively agreed that not necessarily the best way of, the best person to look to for, advice per se, because the guy never has an answer, just has a complaint. But George Carlin, he said, there are no rights. If a right can be taken away from you, it's a privilege.
Absolutely.
So your right to life doesn't exist because it can be taken away, like exactly like you said.
Right. So, but you guys are looking at it more so in a one-on-one, like a capitalistic view. Realistically, if we compare, if we put being born as a human next to making money, it literally sounds like capitalism. You go for what you get, fuck everybody else. But we can't look at it like that because humans are social creatures. There are human rights, I do believe. I definitely differ from you guys on this one. Because we're born, and even way back in the day, you are born into a society. You are not just born to nothing. You're not born, you are born as part of something greater than yourself. You were born as part of a family. You were born as part of, you might lose that family almost immediately. That's a possibility. You might lose that society, 5 years after you're born. That's totally a possibility too. And you are also born on Earth. You are an earthling. You're a person, right? So if we want to actually function in a chaotic way as a global society, I believe there should be human rights because let's face it, we're not in the prehistoric time. So,
well, that's what I'm saying. It's like you just said, if we want to function as a global society,
right? But we
and
can't.
that's what I'm saying. So they're not inherent. They are with that caveat that we're going to function as a global society. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, no, fair enough. But it kind of, I don't know. I think
I know. You're hearing a right-wing guy going, "You got to come and take mine," but that's not what I'm saying. I just don't think nature necessarily grants you any rights. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, nature definitely doesn't. I mean, that's also debatable because, there is clean water in the world, and you need water, so there's your right. You just got to find it. But I get what you're saying now. Anyway, regardless, we're pretty much all on the same page as a society, right? So my question is like, I can't stop thinking about this, but it's like, man, why don't we have like the World Health Organization's like what, 7 people just shooting shit and talking about ideas? Like they're not really doing anything.
It's just 3 dudes like us.
Yeah, like they're like, oh yeah, we'll come check it out. Oh yeah, that's real bad. Okay, you guys should handle it. See ya. And it's like, if world health is super important, which it is, in order for humans to keep going and not die off, our World Health Organization should almost be like a military, but it should be for the world. And not a military in the sense like they got guns and stuff. I'm talking about funded by every country who wants or who is in like the UN, say, something like that. This is all just hypothetical shit, right? I've not read any of this. This is just what I thought. So you have the UN. If you're in the UN, you're in this World Health thing, right? Like your country pays a couple $2 billion a year to be in this, and these fucking people throughout the world generalize healthcare. So if me and Fresh went to go pick Mickey up in Australia, and Fresh and I are on, he's grabbing me from behind on a motorbike, and we're cruising, and all of a sudden we get in an accident, and Fresh's legs, 90 degrees, he ain't gonna have to pay any bills because it's covered worldwide. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there should be an organization set up with funding already in the bank to go and build extra hospitals for pandemics or outbreaks or wherever in the world things are happening. It should just be kind of covered. I think we're going to get there eventually because this is a direct effect of it literally started somewhere, has affected everywhere. And it's still a very real possibility that this will happen again.
Well, I think what you're demonstrating by the fact that we don't have that, Slick, is just that society is not nearly as advanced as we think of. We think we've got smartphones and Tesla cars and look how fucking advanced we are. But we haven't solved all of these social problems. And that's really more, I would suggest, more of a hallmark, because everybody talks about, oh, look at this primitive society. They didn't have running water, but no one ever went to war. Well, okay, that's cute, but maybe there's something there we're not actually acknowledging. And it could be that they thought differently about this sort of thing. And that's worth considering.
Yes. And we are.
And also, I liked your hypothetical where I get to ride behind you on a Vespa.
That's not the hypothetical part.
Oh,
that rolls up in a Vespa. Let's go for a ride.
Let's go. F social distancing. No, don't F social distance.
Social distance.
And on that, where's this leave us? That's just in healthcare. I mean, I'm wondering where it leaves with money, because like we're at a point in time as a society. Like you're born here, you're not given a fucking choice. You're just kind of like, yeah, I'm here. I guess I'm going to the school my parents put me in. And now, I'm 17. I have no fucking clue what I want to do with my life because I haven't even experienced life. And so I'm going to go to school, and then I'm going to get a degree. And then, by 25, I'm going to be working a job I hate because I didn't know what life was. You're not really given a chance. And if you want to bounce back from that, say you get a degree and then you want another degree, like down the road, like me. I don't have a degree. I'm not going to say I do. But I want to go and get one. But I got a kid. I'm working on getting my own place and stuff again. And, I got myself out of a dramatic debt hole. And it took 3 years probably to recover from everything I put myself through. And I get it, it was myself. But man, would it be nice to have an extra, $1,000 coming in every month just because I had no choice of being born here into a society where running water costs money or clean water costs money, right? Like, you can't just live with nothing in a society. Like, you can't even be homeless without people just thinking you're a piece of shit. And that's not right. And especially because we have such a high regard nowadays for the mental health and mental well-being of people, that the stigma of laziness or you shouldn't get paid for doing nothing it needs to go away, because there are so many underlying variables and conditions that somebody could very well be depressed. They're not given that opportunity,
So let's talk about that, because you brought up something interesting the other day, how Spain is using this as an opportunity to roll out UBI, but then they want to keep it on a large scale. What a fucking perfect thing.
Well,
and I'm not saying I necessarily want Canada to do this, although I think it is worth doing because the studies worked.
Sorry, hold on.
Okay.
That article apparently wasn't what it said it was.
What?
There's going to be something like that, but it's going to be not that much money, and it was kind of a shady article. I should have told you guys that after I did a little bit more research in it. It was like kind of there. It's probably 30% there, we'll say. Anyway, go on, Fresh. But I don't want you to say anything that's not true. That's why I stopped. Sorry.
No, I appreciate that. But even still, even just as a hypothetical, that is an example of a positive outlook from all this that isn't, well, we'll get back to normal. Well, we all know, everyone knows normal wasn't that great.
No, yeah, you're right. And if anything, if someone wants to live off $1,000 a month and smoke a bunch of pot and play video games and not do anything, let them then, I guess. But there's going to be more people like me, like you, like Mickey, us three here. I could see us all using that for either necessities or for something like school. So if you don't make school free, then give a basic income so people can fucking afford to go.
Yeah.
And better your society. Because like I've said, man, people get to the point, even my friends that were huge partiers back in the day are at a point in their life, and they didn't care about anything except getting lit. They're at a point in their life now is where they wish they could better themselves, and they can't because dumb decisions led them, even if they were small decisions, dumb decisions have led them down a path of almost kind of self-destruction, and myself included here, where it's very, very hard and very time-consuming mentally and economically to recover from that and actually go to better yourself. You have to pay for everything, like literally everything. Like thousands of dollars. It's going to take me forever to take care of my child, get my own house, my own car, pay for a degree, and not go and avoid the debt I want to avoid because I've already been in that hole. And it was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare. And I wasn't even, my hole was very shallow compared to some.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's a good idea. I think it benefits society more than it would make people lazy, as they say. And you brought up the studies. They did studies in Ontario, right?
Yeah, in Ontario.
Yeah.
And they roundly showed that everything that proponents of UBI said would happen happened. Obviously not in every single case, not 100%. That's not how people work. But it was like, you give them, and it wasn't a lot, man. It was like, let's say it was 20 grand a year, right?
Right.
And so that allowed people to essentially find their feet when they were previously in a position of struggle. And then they went from there and found their own enterprise, whatever it might be, even if it was just a regular fucking job that they wouldn't have been able to get because they didn't have the clothes, they didn't have the food, they didn't have the housing to get a bill delivered to, take your pick.
Yeah.
All of these things require some kind of basis, and it's something that people don't acknowledge kind of what you were saying before. It's like when you're born and you're born into a certain position in a society, well, you've already got both rights and responsibilities based on where you were born in that, not geographically, but in that social strata, So a newborn baby born into the middle class might be already further ahead in terms of their life than somebody who's, very poor, but 25 years old and in the prime of their life physically. Like,
Jesus, that's a sad thought.
Yeah. So I just got to say everything that we've talked about. I just had this thought in my mind. So realistically, it's like, oh, people would hate this. People are going to hate, like, majority of, especially right-wing or conservative people would hate anything that I'm about to say here, but it's like, bring manufacturing back. Maybe they might not hate that one. Bring manufacturing back and do it differently. Do it environmentally friendly, but bring it back. Bring it back and make shit in Canada. I want to see shit being made here again. Make school free. Make every single aspect of healthcare free. Every single aspect of it free. There should be zero privatization of anything regarding your body or health. That is ridiculous. It's ludicrous. People should not be making a fortune by treating patients. It's dumb. It should just all be free. So make every aspect of healthcare free, including long-term care for disabilities and seniors.
Yes, sir.
And give people money for nothing. Oh man, it sounds terrible, right? But with all of these things, I guarantee you would have a richer country. Why? Because it would drive your economy straight up. You'd all of a sudden, you wouldn't have to pay for benefits or anything. Because if your healthcare is truly free and provided at a federal level on every single, I'm talking surgery, ambulance, vision, everything. You don't have to pay benefits for your employees, or you don't have to buy benefit package if you don't have benefits, or any of that bullshit, all that dancing around. You just go to the doctor and it's just done. That's it. And then, so people aren't worried about their health. They all of a sudden now have better health. They all of a sudden live longer and they can do more things in their older time. And people aren't stressed about their parents or their grandparents or their children or any relatives or friends with disabilities, because they're taken care of and they don't got to pay ridiculous amounts of money for people to take care of. Right? So there, you got all that just kind of laid out. That's just society. That's just a better place to live in for everyone. Right?
Then and I don't understand anyone who would object to that.
Right. So then you start giving people money, and all of a sudden people are like, hey, man, I can go buy a new car. I can buy more goods that are manufactured in Canada. So, everything's kind of going in a loop here, right? We're like creating our own economy. Now we're supporting our own economy by providing people with enough money to buy more goods, which means now we have a surplus and now we need to make more goods because we're still handing out money. And it kind of keeps going around in a circle, right? Because not only are you getting that free money, you're still working your job, right? So if I'm bringing home $36K from my job a year, and then I'm given, we'll go off your base of 20,000 extra from the UBI a year, all of a sudden, I'm way less stressed out. I'm driving a new.
Hold on.
What?
One of the principles behind UBI is that once you clear whatever that ceiling of the universal basic income is, then that is just your income. So again, full hypothetical here, but let's say it is 20, but you make 30 grand a year. You don't end up with 50. You get the 30.
Yeah.
Oh, so they don't give you the 20 even if you're making 30 a year?
Correct.
That's wrong. That's wrong. That should not be done. And that's because it's going to start causing a stigma, and it's going to start separating, enforce separation, and it's going to actually drive the wealth gap or whatever that's called, probably even more. People aren't going to think that's fair, and it's not fair. It doesn't matter if you make
where it's worked, that's how they do it.
Yeah, but I guarantee you it'd work in the same way if it didn't have that stipulation. It would work in the same way. If you made $1 million and you still got $1,000 a month, that $1,000 probably looks like nothing to you. It would just go into a savings or a investment fund. And if you made 20K and you still got 1,000, that would mean a lot more to you. But in 5 years, you're more likely to be making $1 million with that extra little bit of help. But what I'm saying is you have to think of people's mentals too. You can't just think of the black and white on the paper, because if you're giving someone something that you're not getting, that right there then creates the want to, why would I go and do more when I can just get this right now?
Well, that's one of the primary objections, man. But I'm telling you that this is how they do it where it has worked. And I don't think that someone making, 60 grand a year is going to begrudge someone making 20 their
You'd be
extra
surprised,
1,000.
bud.
Well, yeah, you're right.
You know what?
We do live in Windsor.
Yeah,
Fresh. When we worked at Party City, when we did the transfer to Party City, and we got those Americans coming over to set up the store for us, remember?
Yeah.
I took that opportunity to actually speak with one of them about Obamacare, right? Because that was what was happening. And I'm like, how do you feel about that? And he goes, I'm not paying for somebody else's health care. That was the bottom line. That's how they view it. Because when you were saying earlier, like I don't understand why people don't like this idea of helping people out and the universal income and shit like that. Just more so like on the healthcare point, they're looking at it as just going, I'm not paying for some schmuck's bill. And that's where I don't think they understand where, like, if 50 people are paying a $200 again, I'm just random numbers here, a $200 bill, it's not so bad. I don't think they fucking understand that. That's just it's just a small amount that helps a lot of people when everybody is chipping in. But and I bet you, again, now I'm just going to talk kind of out of my ass here, but I bet you if you were to say that, they go, well, you know what about those people who don't meet the minimum requirement? Like, there's always something. They don't, a lot of these people they just don't want to help.
You have to look at, in my opinion, you have to look at UBI kind of like sorry, things just started happening on my computer and making noises and distracted me. It's like dealing with a toddler. Okay, if you have a room full of toddlers and you give 3 toddlers a stuffed animal that's super cute, or a toy, whatever. You give them something, and every other kid's going to be jealous. They want that toy. Where's my toy? Blah, blah, blah. Therefore, in regards to UBI, you have to give every single person. Doesn't matter how much money you make. Doesn't matter anything. It doesn't matter your gender, your age, nothing. You give every single person, well, maybe your age, because you probably shouldn't give
20 grand to a 13-year-old.
Yeah. Just go buy the whole convenience store.
Yeah.
But you need to give everybody. So there's not that, that what you just said, I'm not paying for someone else's. It's like, but everyone else is paying for yours, right? So you have to, that stigma needs to end, and it needs to be like, yeah, I'm fine with paying for Mickey's eye surgery because he's helping pay for my ankle surgery. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be a fair trade-off from millionaires to the poorest people. That's
it all comes back to what Fresh said earlier, though, is we are so not an advanced society when we still think like fucking children.
Well, we don't even tax the wealthy people. Like, what is that? Like, that right there should just stop everything. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, billionaires and companies, corporations skip out on taxes. They have the most money. It makes no sense. Start there.
But this is where democracy died, when lobbyists lobbied for billionaires and Fortune 500 companies paying presidential candidates their run through is considered a freedom of speech. That's where it all died.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, let's not get into it.
Yes, please. Let's not.
We're diving deep into political shit here, and it's no. Anyway, my question was, real quick. I think after this, we're going to see some moves in those fields. Not necessarily as dramatic as we just talked about. Maybe one day, I don't know, but I definitely think we will see moves in like manufacturing coming back and different ways we're going to handle our healthcare. And maybe even a UBI or something similar to it. Maybe, you know, what Fresh said. Maybe they'll bring that project back where you might not qualify or whatever. But I think we will see ourselves starting to step toward that in some degree.
All right.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
hope
you
so.
said you had a question, though.
Did I?
Yeah, you said my question, and then you said all that.
Well,
there was no question.
There was no question. I totally forget, man. My brain. This is the one thing about this lockdown shit is just my brain just keeps spinning. I think of a question, I forget the question because then I start thinking about something else. I should probably start writing stuff down. But I remember. I was just gonna ask you guys to sum it up. What do you think it's gonna look like after?
Oh. All right. Well, I'll go ahead here because I don't think. I think we need to have long memories. And I think people generally don't because for the same reasons that, as we were saying, we're finding out that having an Instagram and a Netflix doesn't equate a personality. At me as well here, but that we are getting caught up in the hustle and bustle of life and everything else is falling by the wayside. And I think that's just going to happen again. I don't mean to be bleak like that, but I think that there needs to be a concerted effort on everybody's part to remember who did what during this time. And I say that feeling fairly appreciative of the steps that both our federal and provincial governments have taken. But we also need to look at things like big corporations. And when we're talking about, you know, the next fucking bailout that Big Auto gets, well, maybe we need to reassess that and really look at how that might not be where the money should go. And then when we go from there and say, you know, in times of crisis, that's not where it should go. Well, maybe it shouldn't necessarily go there at all.
Right. Exactly. I can see that.
And I think your point, Slick, about having a better basis for healthcare, literally universally, not just universal healthcare within a country.
No, it needs to be. Sorry, I just want to. I'm very, very passionate about this part. And what Mickey said about the mental health, the repercussions, the PTSD that nurses and doctors and anybody on the front lines who are going to experience, mental health needs to be absolutely free on every single fucking aspect. So it is that developed for when this happens again, because people are going to need that. Sorry, I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, no, it's an excellent point, and anyone who's ever gotten their mental health treated in the approved ways knows that it's far from free. So is this important as, you know, not having a broken ankle, or isn't it? Because I'd argue it's more.
Yeah, yes, 100%, because your mind is still functioning while your ankle's broken and you're sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mickey, what do you think before we call this thing?
I guess where I've been focusing is just more so hopefulness, what I hope is going to happen afterwards, not necessarily what I think, if that makes sense.
Same.
I'm worried about things not going back to normal. I'm worried about well, you guys know me. I'm a huggy handshake kind of guy. Will that go by the complete? Like I'm not talking about like in a month. I'm talking like in a year or two when this really kind of gets fully taken care of and it's no longer an issue. Are we going to be so afraid of germs from here on out? Like, are we going to be a generation of huge germaphobes? So I'm worried about that aspect. Again, I guess that's more of like a mental health thing where people are going to be like, oh, fuck, like I need to be on top of this. I need to have hand sanitizer constantly. I'm going to wear a mask for the rest of my fucking life. You know, like that's going to really mess people up. I've never been worried about the economy. I really don't. I just think it'll bounce back because, you know, I've said my point on that many a times about how it, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't exist and it's fully synthetic in how it works.
Yeah, it is.
But very much so, I've thought about this almost like immediately. What Fresh was saying was we need to remember who did nothing or who made it hard. And that has to be like so remembered, because these people, those ones who did nothing, are going to be the first ones to shine the light on those who did something. And you're going to be like, oh yeah, I remember when they did that. Let's focus on all the positives, which is again a very important thing. But God damn it, do we have to remember, and as best we can as a population, hold these people accountable for the nothing or whatever they did to make things worse.
Fair.
Yeah, like
fair.
the Exxon Mobil trophy for excellence during pandemic is going to go to some nurse, and everyone's going to be like, hey, good for that nurse. And it's like, wait a minute, why were they the ones saying who's good and who's bad?
Yeah. Exactly. I hope this goes I want people to remember, and not remember necessarily the good because it's not important. They need to remember the bad, because it is equally, if not more important, to know who has your back. And lo and behold, the government and the corporations do not.
Huh.
Except for apparently Ford. He seems to really have our best interests in mind, which is, again, astounding.
Fair enough.
Fuck. Like, he's putting together like this website where you can literally, like, it's like a tattle thing. Hey, this company is making me do this. This company's doing this. These people are not practicing social distancing properly. He's like, we will fucking take care of them, and we will prosecute them to the full extent of law. I'm like, what? This isn't government behavior at all. So,
it's like they care.
Yeah, it's weird.
Anyway, guys, I hate to call it short, but I really gotta go. I got a online webinar I'm doing because I want to learn some new skills. It's like Freshie said. So I got 8 minutes to get all my stuff together, take a pee, and do this thing. So yeah, we're gonna have to cut it there, but we should definitely do this again, I think.
I agree. This is actually going pretty well, I think.
Yeah, let me know how the sound. Well, I guess we're gonna find out how the sound turns out, and we'll give it from there.
Yeah, I might pick up a mic from you and stuff, but yeah, we'll figure that out. But other than that, good, cool.
Okay, sounds good, bud. I'll talk to you boys later.
Alrighty.
All right, see you, bud.
Bye.
Ah.